Activate.
It's the Pelon and Chubby Show with your hosts, Rich Salas and Guy Murray, talking about comedy and everything that crosses their mind. It's the Pelon and Chubby Show.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, yeah, you look good.
Huh?
You look good. I'm good. You look
right.
good. We're good.
All right.
And we're on. We're live.
Hello, good evening, and welcome once again to the Pelon and Chubby Show. I'm Rick Salas.
And I'm Guy Murray.
And it is November 8th. Can you believe it? It's almost the end of the year.
Closing it out, man.
It's going quick, man.
Closing it out with style.
We're here doing our comedy talk with heart is what it's been labeled. We're here every Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30-ish, 7:45. Dropping a little knowledge, making a little fun, and tonight we got a couple interviews. We're going to be interviewing Matt Blagg. He's a comic in the San Diego scene. Also a comedy legend in San Diego, Mr. Bob Murphy, is going to be stopping in. We're going to do a little interview. It's going to be fun, Guy. We're going to have some fun with it.
Heck yes.
But this is episode number 6, if you're keeping score at home.
Doesn't count the sidecast I did.
Oh, 6.5.
6.5.
6.5. Guy went out on a little venture one day and went out and about, tried to get a pulse of the town, see what everybody's feeling. He got a little froggy, wanted to get on the air.
Yeah, I did.
So how was it? Was it fun?
It was great, man. It was just kind of weird getting people to talk to my phone because that was my recording device. And but I did get some. I got some good input. No one wanted to get it released, so I could use it live. So next time.
Nice.
Good test run.
It was everything you dreamt of?
It was a good test run. It was a good test run.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. So maybe we'll try that again. So we're here. We're going to talk about a few things. First and foremost is going to be comedy, like always, but some current event stuff. Something happened last night, Guy.
What happened, Rich?
We had a little crisis at the house. I was eating dinner, and because I'm the pig that I am, I shovel the shit down super fast, and I got nowhere to go, nowhere to be, but I feel necessary to shove as much food as possible in my mouth and struggle with chewing it with all my missing teeth. So it's always an interesting event. At any time I could die.
Oh, no.
Right?
No.
So the could die came into effect last night.
What?
So I am eating some shrimp that was in a soup. And I take a bite, but it must have fell between one of the missing teeth there, and I swallowed the thing whole.
A whole shrimp.
Right. So I wasn't sure at first if it went down the right pipe, because you never know, right?
Ow, that hurts.
And then your mind takes over, which is even worse than swallowing the shrimp, because then flashes of, can I breathe?
Right.
Am I feeling a burning in my chest?
Right.
Chaos. You start sweating for no reason.
God.
And then the weird part says they're like, are we gonna have to call 911 and have one of those embarrassing moments? and other thoughts, because I'm a sicko, start going through my head like, am I wearing the right underwear? Did I shave my nuts? Because of course it's in my throat, but they're gonna have to take off my pants. Well, I don't know why they always do that. They got to check the goods. It has no like correlation with my throat being jammed up, log jammed in my throat. So so all these things go through my head. Did I put on cologne? Does my ass smell? Am I prepared for the hot nurse that's going to be helping me out the hospital? So all this is flashing through my mind,
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm starting to stress out, and I'm like afraid to close my eyes because I might not wake up again. Let's just say it was an interesting evening.
At your luxury, I'm sitting here dying right now, man.
That shrimp really wasn't worth it. Maybe I'm going to have to start blending shit before.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm getting to that age where I might have to blend it or chop it up finely to get it down. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so I'm a little embarrassed. I'm a little worried.
Oh, no.
Worried that I'm gonna have to start wearing Depends maybe, and drink my dinner through
it's inevitable
through a straw. Yeah, but at my age, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, but it's all right.
So
not a big deal.
This was a soup your wife had prepared?
No, I got it from this fast food Chinese place, which is interesting because we either make the Chinese food at home or drive like 45 minutes to get it because there's nothing in North County that's any good.
As good as this place?
Well, no.
Well, no.
So it's a new place that opened up. It's so shady that even their name is like a knockoff, a theft. It's called Panda Walk.
Panda
almost
Walk.
like, what's the other one?
You got
Panda Express, right?
Panda Express.
Right, so it's the same concept.
And you got the Great Walk.
Yeah, well, they made it look like so
like
Panda Walk.
Express, okay.
But actually, the food is like typical fast food.
Because you taste the MSG.
Chinese. Yeah, I don't even know if they want to spend the extra money using the MSG. But for some crazy reason, their soups are very good.
Very good soup.
Yeah, so if you're going to go there, order the soup. But it's actually very tasty and pretty close to the real deal.
And deadly, as I understand.
And yeah, if you have trouble eating, if eating for you is an adventure and you might die at any time, then be careful with the shrimp in the soup.
So they didn't put the disclaimer on there, we are willing to kill balding middle-aged comedians.
That's right. And speaking of disclaimers, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. Some of the subject may be too much for kids, so we're going to put the explicit language, explicit material warning out there. Listen at your own risk. If you're super sensitive, then tune into some cooking show or some evangelist because it's going to be way more, more palatable for you.
More palatable. I
but
like that.
If you want to have a good laugh and talk about stuff, then that's what we're here for. We're going to talk about stuff.
Yes.
What's on your list of stuff to talk about?
This has been an amazing week.
I saw some more pics from work. Nice.
Nice. I don't let them all out at one time.
No.
Man. I was still enjoying those.
Right.
Very,
I might want to
come visit one day.
Get employment at that place. There's some.
Well, today we were doing our. We're converting our benefits packages, and so we're going over with a new insurance company. And we're getting our insurance, and we're getting all our stuff in. But they had all these beautiful young ladies walking through the office. That wasn't so bad. That was the benefit.
Not so bad, yeah.
And I'm like, well, they got all my information. They can see that I'm married. So, whoops, I can't play the role on that one. I'm not no player. I'm not a hustler. But the young lady that was interviewing me doing my paperwork, beautiful.
Nothing wrong with that. Did you explain you're not looking for anything long term?
I told her I was not looking for any long term. Only minimum coverage, and so
maybe a friend for lunch.
Yeah, a friend for lunch, perhaps.
No, to have as lunch, really.
Make sure she got that 401 okay. So we could tied up all our benefits, got the proper coverage, had to cover the dental, and she was just amazed. I knew all this information about my wife and everything. I'm like, but I'm sitting there, I'm trying to figure like some ins and some outs.
Sure. Literally looking for ins and outs. Sorry, folks. I know it's sexist. Whatever.
And
get over it. Melissa Carr, what's up?
We had a good conversation. I was already breaking one of the guys. There was one guy with the team, and I already busted him on just corny stuff like you dropped your eyeball. He looked. Right. He's totally gullible. He goes, but I'm the Joker. I'm supposed to be the one. I was like, nah, not on my watch. I own this place, homie. This is me and all these women, mine. And I just claimed your little hustle that you brought up in here too. So the one guy and he like 4 girls, and I just put my foot down on how how I'm holding that down. So it was great to be able to like take his little harem as part of my own, and I was.
It's funny how they always want to be the Joker, right?
They do want to be the Joker.
Like they come in,
find a guy that's gonna make them laugh. I was the man. I just took I took that little title from him like right away.
I'll be out somewhere and somebody's talking shit, right?
Yeah.
And they're like want to be the comedian, or like I'm super funny, right? And I'm like, really, you don't want to do this? It'd be like if I was holding a gun,
right?
And you start talking shit to me, right. It's going to be that bad. I'm going to murder you.
Oh, my God. It's going to go down, too. Like,
I'm going to emotionally murder you.
Yeah, so
you need to stop and walk away.
Your smallest compound, grind you into powder dust, roll it up and smoke it and give it back to you, pass it and blunt it off.
God.
So, it was, and then there was like, you're sure a funny guy? I was like, yeah. I give him the business card, the funny guy. So,
all right. So we've been
Follows
talking.
up.
We've been talking a little bit. We might go ahead and Matt Blagg's in the house. He just walked in. It's going to be our interview. Yeah, they're going nuts. Listen to them.
Literally.
But we talked before about sponsorships and all that stuff. And the whole idea with the sponsorship isn't to fill our pockets, line our pockets. It is to improve our show and make it better.
More content.
Add equipment, maybe, just more professional. So here's the deal, people. We have 2 microphones, and we're going to be interviewing somebody. So we're going to be passing the mic back and forth. You can't see it, but you're going to feel it a little bit. But
air swooping by.
If you want it to be better, then send some fucking money. Send money. We need cash, loot, greenbacks to make the show a little bit better.
I got an idea.
Go ahead. What is it?
Sound effects.
Yeah.
We got to do sound effects.
Let's do some.
That's a given.
Right. But not cheesy.
Slide. No, not cheesy.
Right.
I'm going to slide over in the booth. If Matt don't mind, I'm not going to touch him or anything like that.
Yeah, and we can pass it. Like if you want to add.
He's good.
We can do sign language if you want to add in. All right, so I got to give a proper intro because whether it's on stage or it's for the podcast, we got to do proper intros. Today our guest has been in the San Diego scene for a long time, actually. He started, I believe, when he was maybe 15, 16 years old or something. And I remember he used to go out to the comedy clubs, and he'd have to stand outside because he wasn't allowed in the bars and stuff. And then he'd pop in, do his set, and then leave. And he did a couple shows for me up in the North County. Great job. And we're fortunate to have him as a guest today on our show. So everybody, please help me welcome to the show, the Pelon and Chubby Show, Matt Blagg. Thanks for coming in, Matt.
Thank you.
All right.
For having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it, genuinely.
Are we a little hot there?
You killing it.
All right, good.
Yeah, sorry for being late, by the way, guys. It took me over an hour to get here. I used to travel from North County down to San Diego, so I thought I knew the drive.
Right.
But apparently coming northwards, it's a different animal on the 805. I did not realize what a beast the 805 is. It took me like an hour and a half to get here. I left at I'm not joking, I left at 5:15, 5:20, and I just now got here.
Yeah, if you're ever going to travel on the 5,
so
after 7 o'clock's the move because then it's nice and quiet. Everybody either stopped off to get something to eat at the strip joint or went home to see mama. So you're good there. But no, it's cool. You're perfect timing because we had just started. We had only been talking for maybe 10 minutes. It was mostly me and Guy with a lot of ahas.
That's my tagline.
He's like my wife.
That's a good tagline, man. If no one laughs, at least you get the laugh in there.
Yeah. So, Matt, I was talking about you starting out in the comedy scene. Yeah. Am I pretty accurate on the age? Give us a little.
Age was 17 as far as when I actually started doing stand-up. Because actually calling places when you're young, people don't even want to let you in. What's up?
A little closer.
Oh, sorry, you couldn't hear me? Oh. Yeah. Normally when you're doing stand-up, you can hear your own voice. So it's a weird concept right now where I don't know if I, the volume I am towards the listeners.
Right. Well, here's, I was talking about the sponsorship. One of the first things we're going to get when they send this money in is headphones so we can actually hear ourselves.
Yeah,
like a real show.
Yeah.
No, we actually can probably plug our other ones in.
I got a Generation 1 Beats by Dre in my car right now. I can maybe plug that in.
Sounds super cool.
It barely works now because it generates the first one.
Right.
I got it from the thrift store for $2.
Well, what they plug in for profits for the company is a degenerative aspect on there where they solely degenerate, and then you got to go buy another one for $500 and something. But now here they have financing, so it's perfect. Yeah, or a layaway program. Well, because it's black. Okay. All right. Well, I'm Mexican, so I can say that. All right, so Matt, 17 years old, you started out. Give us kind of like a brief summary of your comedic career from 17, what you had to kind of go through, because our show is dominated by comedy. We talk about the comedy scene, but we also talk about current events and stuff. So it's kind of cool to hear from other comics, what they went through to get to where they're at. And you have an interesting story because most guys start when they're a little bit older.
Yeah. So now I feel like an old motherfucker. I just turned 25, so it feels like, I've been doing it for 8 years. So I really feel like old, even though, I'm not old. You probably roll your eyes when I say that. But I still feel, because there's people, it's weird for me to hear people that are younger than me. You know what I mean? That are around. Well,
it's not so much your age. It's like how many years you've put in so far. You know?
Well, a big thing for me when I started was weird to not be able to see, like, one, to see the show before you go, and you're sort of going in blind, because someone could have said something about someone in the crowd, and you have no idea they said that, because you're not allowed to physically be in the room. Yeah. So literally, someone could have been making fun of someone's weird, whatever, like, shirt or hair, or, like, whatever they're making fun of, and you had no idea it happened. And you go in and you make fun of that, and everyone's like, yeah, we already heard that, motherfucker. But so it's like, I had no idea. The
guys that have been sitting in there that do hear it, and sound like an asshole and say the same thing. What's their excuse? No, but it makes sense what you're saying. Yeah. And so there's got to be a whole bunch of other things. Like sometimes when you're sitting there and you listen to all the other comics, you kind of either get a little motivated, but at the same time, at least like if they've all been shitty, at least it doesn't affect you, you know, as much. Like you're not jaded by it, or like, hey, thank you. Brought down by them, because so many crash and burn, and then it kind of is like a domino effect, and then everybody after them crashes and burns.
A big thing for me also is like, networking comedian, like a big thing for you as far as like it's always networking, like you kind of just have to be constantly doing it. And for a lot of people, like I know my friends say it's hard for them to really like be friends with someone if they see their set and they absolutely hate it. But for me, all I knew was when they came out of the club. So it's just like,
you didn't have to lie.
It honestly made me sort of like, because like I couldn't judge someone based on their set because I didn't see their set. So I was all just like, honestly, I was probably closer with the smokers because they would come outside and smoke cigarettes outside. And I would be like, oh, these are my friends because they're the ones that come outside.
That's right. Yeah. That's kind of, it's no secret. I'm an asshole. And everybody knows it, But at the same time, I am giving. Like, I'll help you no matter what. Whether you deserve it or not, I still try and help in some way. I'm a giver. But I'm also honest, and sometimes I'll do a club where I don't really care for the people or whatever, and the comics were really shitty, and I'll go up on stage and I say, crowd, as a crowd, you need to do the right thing tonight. Everybody always has a habit of when you come off stage saying, nice set, nice set, nice set. I need you to do a lot of these comics a favor. If their set was shitty, tell them. Please tell them, and me especially, tell me. If it was shitty, that's refreshing. If I come off the stage and I had the worst set ever, tell me, you know what, that was really shitty.
I'll tell you if you ask. That's how I am. I'll say it with my body. I'm not going to go over and I'll just leave you on your own. Because for me, if I have a bad set, I don't want to be talked to at all. I want to be in my own bubble. I probably won't even say goodbye to you. I'll just leave.
But what if it was a really good set and you just felt like it was a bad set? It'd be nice for somebody to be honest,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And tell you, you know what, Matt, that was pretty shitty. So then you're like, fuck yeah, that's why I feel the way I do, right? But, you never know. Like, I know the last time I was at the Comedy Store in La Jolla, I had a horrible set. Horrible set.
Just a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
Not to be like, I remember, but I remember seeing your face. I remember the set. And I was recording the whole thing.
I was reassured because nobody talked to me. Right? They went up to Rich and they were like, oh, good job. And then I got the fucking shoulder. So I was like, oh, it was that bad. But no, I appreciate that more than somebody coming up to me and lying to me and saying, yeah, that was a good set. Bullshit. I know it wasn't a good set. I know it was terrible. But most of the time at that club, I've had pretty good sets, and I like that club. I don't like going through all the bullshit, I don't play the game right. I never have at any of my jobs. I've never been PC. I really, I'm there to work, like I told you before. We have a contract. The contract is I put in the work, and you pay me. And it's done. I don't have to kiss your ass. I don't have to suck your cock. I don't have to do nothing. I don't even have to be your friend. We're even. If we get along, great. But, I'm not going to go in there and play the game and fucking tell you, you're a nice person and you're really a piece of shit, But, no, that's cool to hear that, you're the kind of the same way in the sense that if somebody asks you, you tell them the truth. Yeah. That's nice.
I just don't go out of my way to be like, because I don't know, I'm under the assumption that someone knows when they did bad, which I found is not the case. I could name names right now, but there are people that I'm very close with where, like, there's been a couple of times where, like, I was like, hey, how'd you do? I tried to lead them into it because it was such a horrific set. I was just, I wanted to comfort them, and they're like, you did pretty good. And I was just like, oh my God, we're not friends anymore almost.
Right.
I mean, we were not coworkers. But now I'm getting too much, but yeah.
No, you want to know if they're a lying piece of shit too, because if it was something
they're not
important,
lying to me, they're lying to themselves.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm feel like I'm talking shit right now.
No, but you know what? It's not talking shit. It's talking the truth. It's keeping it real. And that's, I think...
It's all about perspective, too, but they just have to have a very distorted perspective, I feel like, of themselves, is what I was thinking.
And it's only going to help them in the long run. It might hurt their feelings tonight, but in the long run, it's going to help them as a comic. And but some of the guys, like, they'll do a show here, and honestly, this is it's pretty shitty.
Honestly, this looks like a great venue for comedy. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's good.
I mean,
the place
TVs
is nice.
and the
Well, all this gets shut off.
For sure.
We put up a stage, and we do it right, but.
Yeah,
sometimes
I was kind of being sarcastic. I didn't mean to be at all. I'm sorry.
No,
I was just trying to.
The comics though that we have sometimes are pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean it's pitch as a workshop, right? That's what you.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when I was coming here, I was like, great. I get to work out my brand new bits. I might fucking bomb harder than anyone tonight.
Right.
I don't even know.
Zoltan jokes about this place because he crashes and burns every time he comes here.
Yeah.
But the guy kills, So.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone needs rooms where the stakes aren't high. Because I'm about to go to the Comedy Store after this, and even if it's like 10 audience members, my manager's in the room. I don't want to fucking perform poorly. I at least want to be I want to be on par with everyone else. Otherwise, it's just it looks bad for his club, looks bad for me. But like a room where there's no really, you know what I mean? Just like the night happens and there's no one seeing it that's gonna affect it after. You know what I mean? Like room where it just
You got guys that's their third time ever.
Yeah.
But some of them are pretty good. But some of them are terrible, and they come off the stage and they're like, "Dude, fucking killed it." I'm like, "Oh my god."
That's what I don't like the delusion because my first couple times I almost quit after my third time is when I actually did decent. I mean, if I quit, I would have probably started again like a month. But I was I almost where I had to because when I was 7, I didn't have the confidence anyway. I wasn't a confident person to begin with.
Right.
And I just bombed super hard at the Comedy Store to the point where I got maybe one laugh my whole set, but I was aware of that. And then my third set, I actually did well. I also didn't understand that my first 2 sets, I went up first and second. My last set, I got popped in number 16. The audience was actually there, where before I was performing for 5 people, instead it was 50. So obviously there's more laughs, there's more people.
It's tough, because sometimes, even though it's the Comedy Store is a comedy club, bona fide comedy, I think it's probably one of 2 bona fide comedy clubs in San Diego. The Comedy Store in La Jolla and the American Comedy Club. I don't really like how the American Comedy Company is run, but it's actually run really shitty. I
mean, it's different.
But they bring in big names.
Yeah.
It looks like an East Coast underground. It has a cool vibe to it,
Underground in California is very unique.
Right.
And also it makes me worried that if there was an earthquake, we would all die underneath. Because there's a reason why underground clubs aren't a thing in California.
Right. Yeah.
Because we're on a fault line.
But we're always delusional. We always never think it's actually really going to happen. But I think it's a cool looking club. It's a nice concept. They bring in big name comics. I just think the rest of it's run a little shabbily, which is why comedy clubs as a whole don't succeed, because they don't run them as a real business. And that's where they need to step it up a little bit, and everybody just uses the excuse that the economy's fucked up, that a lot of things. But people still need entertainment to get away from the everyday hustle bustle, all the letdowns, all the not making as much as I used to. And if you can make it affordable, like everybody still goes to the movies, they still do that.
I mean, they're going less.
I
feel like that. I know I don't have the statistics to back
this
up.
Right.
We could spend 5 minutes Googling this, but I know they're going less than they used to. They have to be.
Right. But the comedy clubs could still, because live entertainment's huge. People enjoy comedy. So I think if marketing is a little bit of an issue, plus when you actually go to the place, the service is a little suspect at some of the places. And it should be. It's still like a restaurant. It's still entertainment establishment. You should still be treated nicely. And I think they could step it up a little bit on that.
Anyway, speaking of someone that also because being a regular at the Comedy Store, I also have to work there. Right. I don't just I'm not just performing and leaving. I have to work, so I'm part of that service sometimes.
Yeah.
People get really aggravated about it. But some people, I guess the way some comedy clubs are ran, but people get mad if they don't get their drink right away.
Yeah.
So to be early show Comedy Store, everyone gets their drink pretty much 5 minutes after you order it.
Sure.
Which is they're going back, they're ringing it in, that's a decent time. But then late show, 200 people come in at once. If you're in the back row, you're not getting your drink for probably 20 minutes into the show. And some people find that they get really mad at that. And whenever anyone gets really mad, I just tell them come to the early show because they'll get better. Because it just makes sense. We seat everyone within 15 minutes. I don't know.
Do they work at a zone from the stage towards the back, or how is that?
It's always. So because I'm a seater. Now I don't normally seat. Now I'm working very back, in ticket booths. So I don't have to deal with people's shit, which is nice because I've been there for a while. But if we're seating, always front to back. So people, if you're in the front, you're gonna get your drink soon. Well, if you're in the back, so you're kind of rewarded for being early in line. But I guess people in the back should get their drink. I don't know. And you can go to the bar, but then you get whatever. This is just getting within. I shouldn't actually even be talking.
Well, no, but you know what? Some people don't like to sit close to the stage, or whatever. Well, that's one of the disadvantages. If you sit in the back, you have to wait a minute for your drink. You know, I don't think that's.
And they're always welcome to buy a drink at the bar, but they're like, oh, people just get mad about certain things. I don't even want to talk too much about it because I'm talking about my workplace. But like, now that I realize. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, they can't do anything with the assholes yet. They haven't passed a law that you could just shoot them on the spot when they're being assholes. So until then, we got to deal with them, and they're never going to be happy. They're always that way in life. So whatever, shit happens. But I'm saying like. If you want to increase business, and it's just like any business, then you got to be staffed and prepared to become bigger. In a lot of places, they want to cut their costs by understaffing, and you're going to have unhappy people. That's just normal. So it's kind of tough, man. It's you don't want to waste money. You want to be there tomorrow, but at the same time, you need to give good service. And it just as a whole, comedy clubs, they don't serve food there. So you don't have that aspect of it. Usually when there's a kitchen serving food, a lot of people are a little more, I don't know, maybe a little bit nicer because their tip depends on it, So whatever. But I love that place. I think it's a good club. If it was closer to my house, I'd probably be there a lot more. But whatever. It is what it is. So what's the future plans? What's your other than where you work? What's your favorite club to perform in?
I mean, I honestly this isn't just like Comedy Store's my favorite place. This is
right.
the first set I ever did.
If
we're talking rooms, not even clubs, just
rooms,
any room.
Clubs.
Where's Stats on Adams Avenue? I don't know if you've ever done it. Yeah. It's like they have a theater next to it. They got a theater next to a coffee shop that the coffee shop owns, and it's been ran for almost 10 years now, and that's probably the longest running room other than any club, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the biggest non-club room.
How's the crowd? How's the turnout?
Crowd's always like it used to be. So it's funny because it used to be like you couldn't even walk through the aisles. That's how many people we had. Seats about 70. There'd be like 100 people in there,
wow.
And it was great. And it was, and then eventually we were like the fire marshal got a whole got rumor about the fact you couldn't walk through the aisles, and they kind of went there and cracked down. So now it'll still be 70 people. It's funny too because right around the corner, literally 50 feet from this venue, is a fire department. So the fact that the fire marshal took right. 7 years to notice that you couldn't walk through these aisles is right next to him.
There's the issue with that earthquake.
Yeah, but it's great venue, great coffee shop, and it's every time I do it, it's amazing. And you see all the names on the wall. Jason Mraz is because he's from San Diego. His name is on the wall because it's a music venue.
Wow.
They do comedy once a week.
What night?
Comedy's Tuesday. Open mic is Monday. You can do comedy on Mondays. They give you 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes as opposed to musicians.
Tuesday's the comedy night?
Tuesday is comedy, which is like a private comedy show, not an open mic at all.
Right.
Monday is open mic. It's a lottery system, but they don't make you sit there. They draw everyone's names at the beginning. We say ACC, your names are drawn as we go. So you might sit there for 2 hours and not get drawn, where at least Lestats you find out within 15 minutes.
Right.
Even though it's the same system, but you at least you don't waste your time.
Well, here, I don't know if you've heard or whatever, I blast it. There's no sign-in time. So you show up whenever you want, as long as it's before 9:30. There's no limit on how much time. You might come up and say, hey, I'm preparing for this show, and I want to do my set. I need to do a half hour. If you let me know in advance, no problem. I'll let you do a half hour. So it's kind of cool in that way. We're flexible. Do as much time as you want.
I'm actually preparing for my open mic set at American Comedy Company. So if you can give me 3 minutes, I just really need to hash out these 3 minutes. You know what I mean? I just really need to fine point this. All right, that was a joke that didn't land. I don't know if that made sense.
3 minutes. Hey, you know what though? That's funny because 3 minutes sometimes can be harder than 15 minutes because you only have that 3 minutes to shove in a bunch of shit into 3 minutes. Yeah. Where 15 minutes you can kind of smooth into some of your jokes.
Yeah, especially depending on your style. For me, I'm more jokey, so it's very shorter sets always. I mean, I'm not trying to ask for less time, but yeah, I know people that are storytellers, so 3 minutes. How do I tell this one story in 3 minutes? For me, I'm 3 minutes. I was all right, I'm doing these 3 to 4 jokes. So that's kind of how I am.
It sounds like you did 4 or 5 lines before you got up there. Let me get the whole story in 3 minutes. It's not going to happen.
I like that.
Yeah, but so let me ask you this. what's been like the oddest thing or story that you can tell from any of the shows that you've ever done? What was something that happened that I was just like, what the fuck? Did that really just happen?
Does it have to involve me, or can it just be around comedy
Whatever,
in general?
yeah, just comedy in general.
Because now I wish I could prepare, because I really feel like I could have thought of something better. There's one story that's coming to my mind right now. That's not right. So there was when I turned 18, because I wasn't allowed in any comedy club, so I got a job at the Comedy Palace as a door guy, so I could actually at least watch, and they gave me a spot like once a week. So I had to work security as an 18-year-old telling 19, 20-year-olds they couldn't come in, which is felt like funny in itself. But like I was telling people older than me, you're not allowed in here. But there was this girl that was dared by her friends to jump on stage while Guam Felix was on stage. And she jumped on stage, but he didn't notice. So there was a good 30 seconds to a minute, I forgot, but where he was just doing a set, not noticing that a chick was on stage. And then he noticed that everyone was laughing, and he sensed something was wrong. And he turns and he tried to get her to come off, and she wouldn't. Eventually, our actual security guy just was like, "Get off." But it was like there was a minute where he did not realize she was on stage, and she was just sitting on the stool, just drunk girl, like 22, 23, just dared by her friends, wanted attention, whatever. God, I feel like there's probably weirder stories.
Like that streaker running across the field at a football game.
I wish she was streaking, frankly. I wish it would have been more entertaining. She was, 22, 20. Yeah,
that was your chance to like rip her off the stage and grope her at the same time. Oh shit! Yeah, no, I've had some crazy things. It's funny we're doing this interview. We're talking about how you came up in the ranks. Now you're at the Comedy Store, working and performing, and doing your thing. It's funny how this whole interview happened. I was telling Guy about it earlier, and I was posting something online on Facebook about Colin Kaepernick, which if you guys out there that are listening,
I think Rick is obsessed with Kaepernick.
Yeah, so Guy will tell you that I give a Kaepernick update every show we do. I post stuff on there about, and here's my thing with him. And just to recap real quick.
I got you.
So,
recap. I like that.
So here's my thing with him. I don't have anything against him personally. I don't have anything against him as a football player other than I think his days as a quarterback are over. And he was hired as a quarterback. All right, I have a problem with his timing, coming out and making this stand or lack of a stand during the national anthem. So his timing is suspect because it all correlates with him going out with this chick, his girlfriend, wife, whatever she is, whatever her status is right now. She is one of the higher ups in the Black Lives Matter movement. All right, so what better way to show your wife or girlfriend that you care than to make a huge stance like this? I always like to say, next time, how about a 6-carat diamond ring, and then you still have your job to pay for that thing, or bring home some flowers, the old-fashioned way, to show that you care about what she does for work or what she does
very
as a
much
person.
Simplifying the issue. We're saying like he did it to impress his wife, or he did it, and also like because the big thing.
I'm saying timing.
Yeah, same timing, but correlation doesn't equal causation. Just because two things happen together doesn't mean they cause. That's why some guy dropped his sandwich while 9/11 was happening. He caused 9/11 because the sandwich dropped at the same time.
You talking butterfly
right? Yeah.
Crazy shit right there.
Okay.
I know, but you're just saying because two things happen at the same time doesn't mean that they're related.
Right.
Even if they happen around each other.
That's why
doesn't mean they're related.
That's why they always throw in the allegedly. Right?
Yeah,
allegedly. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Roger Goodell, the commissioner of football, today said people don't come to football games to get essentially preached to, or a cause thrown on them, So they're there to watch a football game, right? He's hired for that, and that's why I always say what he does on his spare time. Like some people like to go out to the schools and talk to the kids, go to the hospitals and talk to the cancer patients and stuff. If he wants to go out and talk. Racial inequalities. He has done stuff other than just his on-field. Right.
He donated $1 million to some. I wish I had all the information right now, but he's done other things other than what he's done.
But was it before or after all this bullshit?
After. But you're speaking like, I'm not acting like an expert or anything. But it was more about just like, yeah. But one thing I didn't like is also, I believe what you said at the beginning was like his relevance. Sorry, fucking speaking like a drunk asshole. His relevance as a person, like, because you were saying that he wouldn't be relevant if he got hired and then say performed poorly as a quarterback. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
If he performed poorly as a quarterback, he would still be relevant because of what he was bringing up. So.
Well, let me tell you this though. Just this week, just to show you, as a whole, owners of football teams right now, there was a team that was in need of a quarterback. They went out and they hired a guy, signed a guy that's been out of football for 3 years. And when he was in football, he was shitty. He was terrible. He was a flop. But that's how much this guy is not even on the fucking chart radar.
All right, so I'll pipe in real quick.
Yes, sir. I've been taking over your mic.
It's the NFL and the whole organization thing that's creating these little storylines to get us to still watch. We've put a blind eye to it because of these stances, the kneeling and everything. So they need storylines. They don't have a good enough one. And with this is just another issue. So you think
it's all just TV?
It's all TV. It's all entertainment.
But then,
the sportsmanship has gone a long time ago. So
fine, because it's a business.
With the kneeling thing, it's not even about his message anymore. It's all about literally they're showing the anthem. They don't even show the flag. It's all about people kneeling.
Right.
Like, what are the players doing?
Well,
that's what it's all about now, which is dumb because it takes away from his message and it takes away from the game.
Well, let me ask you this,
it's
though.
Shitty to both sides.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. It's a business, right? It's no different than any other TV show that's on. You know, it's like America's Got Talent or whatever, The Voice. It's a TV show, so they're trying to make a storyline. They're trying to get more listeners, you know?
Well, okay,
so it's like wrestling.
You create your referee discomfort, so you get you some drawn-in refs. Right. You put your emphasis on something. If you got a problem, you got to have an issue that make yourself relevant. And NFL has been dropping.
My only hard on that I have for all this shit is why does everything always have to go to the victim, to the black card, to something like, why can't it just be
not the case, but
I'm just saying, why is it black and white all the time? Why does it always become a race issue? Why? That's what this country, everybody's fucking racist. Black people are racist towards white people. White people are racist towards black. The Mexicans hate black people. So what are we talking about, you know?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
What's that, Matt?
One is the reaction to oppression. Like, one is oppression, the other is the reaction to that oppression.
Okay, so is there still really, truthfully, oppression going on?
I mean, obviously, I can't even fully understand it myself, but I know that it is. But just based on the fact that Kaepernick was the only one taking a knee, look at how many other people are, and even aside from that, it's definitely a thing. I wish I was more articulate right now.
No, it's fine. Hey, this is not a show of articulation.
Your thing, and your own Kaepernick. I'm almost like suspect. I'm suspect on you.
What? I hate black people. So what? Hey, everybody knows that's not true. My ex-wife's black. I hate her because she's a bitch, not because she's black. And then my daughter's half black. So when I say these things, like I had a buddy, we used to call him Angry Black because he was angry about everything, right? And so he'd always come up to me and be like, "Why is this stuff happening? Like you became a sales manager and I'm still a salesman after I was in the car business for 20-some years." So he's like, "Why am I not promoted and stuff? Is it because I'm black?" I said, "Of course it is," right? So then every time he'd come to me with some kind of problem or whatever, he's like, "Why is this happening?" Because I said, "Because you're black, fucker. That's why," you know, because that's what he wanted to hear. That's what he believed, right? So it became a joke, like a joke.
I'll buy that.
Right. So we ended up calling him, like that was his nickname, Angry Black. But I say this shit because one, it's real, and I don't like to tiptoe around shit, And like where I'm from, Costa Rica, if you're black, people will call you, "Hey, what's up, Blackie?" But in Spanish. Or if you're fat, they call you, "Hey, Gordo, what's up?" But nobody takes offense to it because that's just what it is. But here, everybody's so hypersensitive about shit. Like you can't even say, "Hey, call somebody whatever," because then, "Oh, you're so intolerant. You're fucking. I'm gonna tell HR and blah 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 blah." You know what? Fuck you. Fuck you. Why is everybody so sensitive now? Why can't you just say what you feel, And if you don't like me, turn around and walk the fuck away. You don't have to stand near me. Whatever, But now it's like everything's got to be so PC and like, oh, you're fucking insensitive. Like even you said, oh, you're fucking insensitive. No, I'm not insensitive. I'm just not gonna fucking be the defender of the world. The reason why shit happens to you is because you made choices in your life. And they were fucked up choices. I made fucked up choices. We went over that before. Everybody in life has an opportunity.
It's how you deal with it.
The opportunity is given to you, And sometimes you can look in your life and you can say, well, this shit happened because. And I had the chance to go a different route, but I didn't. For whatever reason. Nobody's saying if it's right or wrong or whatever. But the shit happened. So you have this choice, right? And so you fucked up. Whatever. Or your life took its course because of the decision you made. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. That's reality. That's the way shit happens. It's okay. Nobody's judging you. I don't judge people. I just point it out, Like if a fucking retard's walking and falls down on the ground, and I can say this because my daughter is retarded, okay? I'm going to say, look, the retard just fucking fell, right? Right? My daughter's retarded, fucker. I can say that, right? If my other,
you call her retarded? Just
I
by the
do.
way?
I say, you fucking tard. What is wrong with you? Or sometimes I call her a fucktard for short. Right?
What is your daughter?
5 years old, so she doesn't really know
I
yet.
feel like when she gets older, she's gonna resent this.
No, she's fine. She's fine. She actually laughs about it. Yeah.
I'm actually gonna send your daughter this podcast right now. Don't ask how I have her in.
That's why you can use the N-word, but he can't.
Okay, folks. Hey, you're here. You're hearing a fourth voice coming in here. This is Mr. Bob Murphy. I got to give. I got to give him his proper introduction. This is the Godfather of comedy in San Diego. He's been doing comedy for longer than 3/4 of the comics in San Diego have been alive. That's why he looks like he does. No, the voice is a little bit raspy. He used to do the Belly Up Club. He had a regular show there. He used to do Hennessy's downtown here in Carlsbad. He is a San Diego legend, and it's our privilege to have him on the show, Guy, today. Matt Blagg's here. So we got 4 of us right here. I'm gonna let Matt and Guy kind of interview Bob for a minute.
Yes.
And talk about what's going on in his life and give him some stories. I'm a fucking blowhard. I'm gonna go rub one out in the bathroom real quick. Firestone beer, 805, my new favorite beer out there. If you're thirsty, you want to get your drink on, get an 805. All right, Mr. Bob Murphy, take over.
How you doing? Bob Murphy.
Hey, Mr. Murphy.
I've seen you before.
We've rocked. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we've rocked the stage before. What's going on?
Hey, brother, it's all about you tonight, man.
Oh, I like that.
Yes,
My
sir.
favorite subject is me.
That'll work.
You said 36 years? Is that?
36 years?
Damn. So is it?
26. Doing comedy?
Yeah,
I started in the late 80s.
For sure. Yeah, my main question was have you done it in San Diego?
After a divorce, I was forced to find something else to do besides kill the bitch. So I got into comedy. And I ended up doing a TV show here for 2 years called Killed In With Comedy. And back when there was 5 clubs here, one right here in Oceanside, Pierre ran a place called Comedy Night. That was a fun gig. The phone keeps slipping, so I'm trying to do technical stuff while I talk. Put on a lot of shows, know a lot of... Oh, thank you, brother. Know a lot of the comics that have made it out of San Diego. Know a lot of comics that still just showing up, supporting comedy.
Right.
It's about the laugh for me, Okay. I had the opportunity to move to LA at one time, but I love San Diego too much. I couldn't do it,
So, Bob, my question for you for being in for so long and hanging, I would say looming, did you tour nationally? Did you go out? And did you go out like New York, hit other spots in all those years?
I mostly stayed. I never did the road comic thing.
Okay.
I've been to Arizona, up and down California, here, Sacramento. I never wanted to get too far, I guess, away from home.
Okay.
It just seemed too hard. And I got in kind of late in the game,
Okay.
I feel like I did. Now I'm 64, so it's like, my mind is willing, but my body ain't.
I feel that.
I'm a Harley guy, you know, and my knees are giving out, and you know, the back's fucked up. People, you can swear on this, I assume.
You're good.
I mean, you know, I try not to, but
we saw the last.
it slips out. And people always ask me, you know, hey, what'd you do before you got into comedy? Because I didn't do it consistently.
Right.
Every once in a while, I like to eat, pay the rent. You know what I'm saying? Pay the cell phone bill. So people ask me, you know, what'd you do before you got into comedy? Well, before I got into comedy, I used to be a carpenter, which puts me in pretty good company after all.
Right.
Jesus was a carpenter. Except in all the biblical depictions, you never saw him doing any carpentry. You always saw him. You always saw him. Well, you always saw him. Mostly, you always saw him.
Like it's an extra betrayal.
Mostly, you always saw him standing around talking to a bunch of guys. I figured he worked for the city.
He's probably a foreman by that particular time.
Now, see, I told that joke on Comedy Central in 1991.
Okay.
And it still works. I like jokes that last a long time. I don't do topical stuff. I don't do
Jesus, that's pretty much
political.
That's
He's been around a while.
I feel like he's gonna be around a lot longer, too.
Yeah.
I mean, his position in time actually is time. So we weren't counting time until Jesus happened. So everything was AD, and then
That's right.
Jesus. So you know, that's.
I don't think that's actually true, right?
Well, we didn't really count time.
Because people say before
Christ.
But that's like. But I wish I could
BC
tell you.
or AD.
No, BC, AD. I know it doesn't stand for that. I wish I could tell you what it stands for. All right, so if it was before Christ, after death, however long Jesus was alive, there's like a 28, 33. He was alive for that. So there was like a 33 years where you didn't know what to call it because it wasn't before him, it wasn't after him. There was 33. Yeah, what do you call it?
Damn, I bring up one Jesus joke and you guys go religious on me now.
Oh, I'm not religious at all. I'm just super analytical about too many things.
No, I consider myself a spiritual person.
Okay.
Not a religious. I was raised Catholic.
I'm very pessimistic.
I
about
grew up
everything.
in Detroit. Just to tell you, a little bit, which that's the reason to leave.
Why did you leave Detroit? It seems like such a great place.
There's some good clubs in Detroit.
And history. Oh my God.
Some good clubs in Detroit too. Joey's, Royal Oak. There's Castle. There's some good clubs there.
So this was before the city burned and all the other stuff, and
I left in '76.
okay.
That was right before it got shitty, right?
Right before it got
When they were still, that really does show your age.
Well,
you
in '71 we had the
cars.
oil embargo, and then the Reagan years.
Right.
I'm not a historian because I spent most of those years drinking and using drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, we'll say that.
Yeah, but today I'm happy to say that I'm 30 years without a drink.
Okay, awesome.
So a lot of my gigs and reason a lot of people don't know me out there is most of my stuff is recovery shows.
Okay. Recovery shows.
Actually, the one show we've done with each other was at a church in East County somewhere. I think El Cajon. It was like an NA meeting.
Oh yeah, were you on that? I don't remember,
It was a nice
bro.
gig.
I got a lot of dead cells up there.
For
so.
sure, yeah.
Was Shema Tosh?
Shema Tosh. It was that exact show.
Oh yeah, right on.
I had very long hair. Yeah, if you remember that.
That was
I
I do now.
Yeah,
for sure. That was a good show.
Yeah.
She killed.
We've been friends ever since. I tried to get her booked out here, but I didn't have enough pull to really. I gave her the names, but I didn't have any say.
Yeah,
they wouldn't
she
take my name.
She drove here from Vegas.
Okay.
Did that show. Drove back to Vegas after the show. I'm like, oh, sweetie, let me get your room. Come over, crash at my place. No, she insisted. She drove back to Vegas after a show. That's a strong comic.
That's a strong comic.
That's committed.
Now, I have a question for
Okay.
you. For as long as you've been in, scenes change, things change, and you've been around San Diego, what's the one element that you see is still alive in San Diego comedy? Besides
The
you.
only no. The only reason is because people still like to laugh,
Right.
and because of the times, people need to laugh.
Okay.
See, I'm one of those old guys that grew up, like seeing Pryor, seeing Sam Kinison,
Right.
hanging out at the Comedy Store, going, "Wow, I wish I could do that." You know what I mean? A guy named Rich Scheidner. If you know
I remember Rich
Scheidner,
yeah.
I watched Scheidner film There was an improv in Pacific Beach.
Okay.
And I watched my buddy record him 4 nights in a row, hour-and-a-half shows.
Oh yeah.
Right? Wait. Every night was different.
Right.
What he was doing he was collaborating all his material, and he sold it to a guy named Rick Brown. Yeah.
They want to see you get on.
That's right, because I'm good looking.
Right. Well, see,
And I'm single.
what I know, like road guys like Rich Scheidner, you can even say, God, I'm lost on names right now. Rocky Osborne, guys that have been in it and have been doing it for a while.
Right.
They have a different element to it that they bring to the comedy scene. They live comedy. They are comedy.
Right.
And then you can always put them on the spot for a show, and they will deliver time and time again. A lot of these younger cats. I mean, Matt's been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
And he's
I can remember. How long was it? That was 10 years ago. That show we did, I think.
I'll agree with half of those names you said. I'll put Matt in the
Yeah, listen to me. There's some guys out there that think they're comics, but they're not.
Right. So I mean,
they want to be comics.
They want to be comics.
God bless them.
Hey, everybody's got to get their start.
They got to get their start.
God bless them.
But how do they sustain? How do they sustain?
All right, Rick.
All right, Rick.
That's why I have issues.
So
Give Rick another drink.
Firestone 805.
Question.
I know what you're saying.
We know what you're saying. Of course we do.
Till no end. Give them time, everything. But don't start thinking you're better than you are.
This crowd is starting to fill out here at the Tremont Bar and Grill.
Yeah,
We're talking on the Pelon
man.
and Chubby.
Free comedy,
Free
man.
comedy at the Oceanside Comedy Gym.
And Rick is
At the
doing a
Comedy
really
Gym.
cool thing, He's offering comics stage time. You got to get stage. We're not a band. We can't rehearse in the garage
No, you can't.
or in a mirror. We got to have an audience. So we need the
Live
people
for
of
that.
Oceanside, for Rick's sake, to come out here and fill up the room, man.
Yep,
That's all a comic really wants, man. He wants to get paid.
Little time.
And he wants to have a good audience.
Some recognition.
Tell their jokes to. I don't know who's calling in. There's people calling in. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. They're
Thank
probably
you.
seeing if we're doing for some time.
And they, some of you guys recognize me, like I say. As far as being a road comic, it's a tough gig, man.
It is.
I know people that do it consistently, and it's a tough gig. Lang Parker.
Amazing.
Is a very good friend of mine.
Yes. Okay.
And she is on the road 50% of the time in LA, working rooms and
Right on.
auditioning the other 50% of the time. And my heart goes out to her.
That is amazing.
Yeah. It's not easy. It's
Okay.
not easy. Question.
Who's the most famous person you've worked with? You see, you Rich
You
Schneider,
want me to name drop?
Name
man?
drop. Just a little bit.
Alonzo Bowden.
Nice. Okay.
Hired him. I've done 8 shows at the Belly Up,
Okay.
which to me, best venue in North County. I love the Belly Up.
For music, I should
8
say. I've never
shows.
done it for comedy. I wish I could.
It's
seen shows with
it's
music,
awesome.
never.
I go to
It's
music
awesome.
there
I
and
have
I'm
a
like,
big
this
heart
place
there.
is acoustically great.
Yeah.
It's like crappy for a real live presentation, but it would be great for comedy, and I never went down.
Yeah.
I did go down there.
Holds 500,
500?
550.
I used to get free tickets there all the time.
So
I'd go there
Alonzo
whenever,
Bowden, Michael Pace, Dat Fan, of course.
Okay.
I've known Dat. Dat used to sleep on my floor sometimes
I'm
in
in his
between
black book.
gigs.
We did a couple shows at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
and,
Good
I'm
guy.
in his book. He
Very happy for him.
writing
We haven't
notes
talked in
and
a while.
tagging lines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is that
He
what you meant
works
by
it.
Black Book? I thought you meant a different thing.
I'm in his
Black book.
Yeah.
I can think of 2 different. I thought you meant Black Book as in like he's never gonna. Like,
He's never gonna.
Oh,
You talk-
word.
you
Yeah.
got-
Also, Black Book could also now.
Yeah, now it's
Seems
You
like
guys
Jeff
are going.
Adams is a
You guys,
racist.
now
He's
you
a
guys are
racist.
going racial again on me. I
let
got-
Rich hear it.
and I understand that. Like I said, I grew up in Detroit,
Okay.
and I have 2 ex-wives.
Oh,
I call them WW1 and WW2.
all right.
And now WW1, I had to get divorced when I found out she was bisexual. If I didn't buy her nothing, she didn't get sexual.
Damn, I walked into
thank
that
you,
one.
thank you.
I like that.
Now WW2,
Okay.
different story. She's half black, a quarter white, and a quarter Puerto Rican.
Which half of her was black?
Well, if you do the math, that gives me a 75% chance of being stabbed.
Yeah, yeah.
But she was fine.
Okay.
So.
People always say they're black from the waist down or the waist up. I would like I'm black from the right side only.
I'm like half
black,
and half here.
my right side is black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the side I lean to.
Well, between Detroit and WW2,
okay.
I got some black on the inside.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And
black by association.
And by the way, let me see if you can see that. You see that ring?
On the.
You see that ring?
That's a nice ring.
Everybody think that's a biker ring. I wear this because of Keith Richards.
Okay.
Dude, if you punch me with that, I feel like I get a badass tattoo.
I probably have a Keith Richards moment.
It's the same ring that Keith Richards wears.
Okay.
And you know why he wears it?
Why does he wear that?
He says, because that's what we all look like on the inside.
That's dark. I like that.
That's pretty strong for Keith Richards.
Okay.
Which I believe he's been dead for 10 years. Nobody's told him. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking to Bob Murphy, and we got Matt Blagg. We're getting ready for the comedy gym right here at Oceanside at the Tremont Bar and Grill. You've been listening to the Pelon and Chubby. 2 weeks ago, I announced that we were doing an outlandish call request, so I'll just insert the guy's call. He submitted his call. He didn't prep it or prop it for me, so I'm just going to submit that. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out how to get that to work into the live thing.
Thanks for checking into Rick's.
You still have a flip phone, right, Bob?
No, I got one of them big
the bricks.
size.
You got the brick.
I got the brick with the no. I got one of them phones, but I don't know how to use it. You know what I mean? I got a Droid, something. So but I hate them because of the spell check shit. Like I'll text something, hey, what's going on? And hit send, and it comes out, who's blowing wand? I'm like, fuck. Sorry, Mom.
It's so suggestive text, man. You need to change that up.
Yeah.
It knows your vernacular. It knows what you're talking about.
Yeah,
so
it's a new one. It's got to get used to.
You want to have a relationship for him to be automatically in your phone.
Yep.
Yeah, jump in here, guys. You guys can Google me at Bob Murphy Comedian, and see some of my stuff. Be happy to for you to look at it and see if you like it.
I don't know, folks. If y'all want to Google Bob Murphy again, drop that one more time.
Bob Murphy Comedian.
That'll work.
That'll work.
I had
Matt,
a whole
jump
series
in
of
here,
questions, but because it's just inflammatory at this particular point, you're on your own, man. You threw some jokes in there. I felt them. I couldn't avoid them. They were coming right at me, man. That's amazing.
So what we do, man.
That's what we do.
It really does become part of you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets you in trouble.
Yeah.
So my word, some comics have an off switch. I do.
Okay.
Some comics don't. And I believe that the ones that don't, they don't represent the craft
right
as well as ones that do have an off switch.
All right, here's my question.
Okay.
Do you go out and say, I'm a professional comedian, or I'm a comic?
Well, do you, comedian versus a comic, there's a difference. A comedian is someone who tells funny things. A comic is someone who tells things funny. Now wrap your head around that.
I am trying.
That hurts.
I cannot.
That hurts. That's so cerebral.
Yeah.
For me, when I'm asked, I always say I'm an aspiring comedian because one, I'm not professional, and
Right.
I make a little bit.
Well,
of
do
money
you
here
know
and
the
there.
difference between a professional comedian and a non-professional
That
comedian?
means money can pay your bills to me.
No. Professional comedian is someone who makes their main living off of just comedy.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. But
Wow.
sorry, but-
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean,
That's
So I
a
guess not.
professional comic.
Okay.
They just
so
comedy.
How do you answer that question? Or right when you say, "Oh, you're a comic," tell
Yeah.
me a joke or be funny. Like go.
Yeah,
I
right.
still want people to say,
I say, what do you do for a living? I'm a mechanic. Fix my car. What the fuck?
Immediate.
I always want to tell
okay.
you a joke, Joke is a guy walks into the bar, with a duck on his head. That's a joke. I don't tell jokes.
tell jokes.
I tell stories.
Okay.
I tell stories about real life stuff usually. I embellish them, and I twist them and give them a shock ending that stimulates
Right.
the laugh.
I mean,
it's all about the laugh.
I
I'm
consider,
always
I
going
consider
for the
myself
laugh.
a little storytelling, a little spin doctor. Actually, I got my start, and I was up in L.A. at the Comedy Store, and I was sitting there just spinning
Nice
and
club.
respinning Richard Pryor jokes.
Right.
Crowd wasn't really liking. This was kind of the mid room before they actually had the belly up top.
Right.
So I
You
get
were
pulled.
respinning Richard Pryor?
I was respinning Richard Pryor jokes.
What do you mean
Set up.
respinning?
Okay, so let's
Hey,
say,
man.
let's take his nature story. Let's take his hunting story.
Listen,
and I put
everybody
it-
steals
I
a
took-
joke at one time or
And this
another.
was like
Robin
not
Williams.
stealing.
The way this
Robin
conversation's going,
Williams.
this is Matt Blagg.
steal
This is Matt
jokes.
Blagg. He's out.
I'm out of this conversation. I'm Matt Blagg.
Come back here.
Robin Williams used to
So
steal
I was pulled.
jokes.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
Robin Williams is the man. No, but the way I was called to the side by a big burly black guy, and he's like, "Someone wants to talk to you," and I'm like, "What's going on?" I'm sitting down, and I look up the table. It's Richard Pryor, and he goes, "That was pretty good. You're spinning that joke, but let's don't do that anymore." And I'm like, I was appreciative. They did think it was
Right.
wild that I was
When
trying
was
to spin
this?
it. This was back in 89.
I was about to say, this has to be dated. If you're
No, this is
talking to
dated.
Richard Pryor himself.
Yeah, no, this is
Jesus
89.
Christ.
So it wasn't like joke stealing per se, but I mean,
Yeah. Well, you've
but
been
still,
around
there's
for a
lot- I've
while
been around
too,
for a while.
then.
And so so I would just have this but then I went back into the room the very next day and was doing the same thing. I was like, you know what? Free range. I felt I was spending it enough.
Right.
So you tweak it, you turn it or whatever. It's still
Change it up and make it your own.
For me,
It's your
the
joke.
inspiration of the joke shouldn't be someone else's joke. It should, if you have a topic and you wrote it wholeheartedly of something you thought and something you saw in your own life, and then you happen to find out that it related to something another comic said, that's fine as long as they're different. But to see someone's set and then tweak it, that's never something that I'll ever approve of.
So I mean, I took his
Hey,
hunting
call in,
story
you guys.
and put it
Call in.
downtown.
Want
call
you to
in.
comment on
do
this
things.
thing.
Text for topics. Text for questions.
Text
Bob
for
Murphy's
topics.
got Rick's phone. You can call us on 760-JOKE-13.
Yeah, I don't want to hog.
760-565-3713.
I don't like hogging the stage. I don't want to hog the. This is
What's
who's
up?
talking to you guys,
okay.
man.
There's people going on. They say they can't hear Guy or they can't see Matt. It's going to
Yeah,
be live
man.
back on it. So play on.
Yeah, Rick
We're going to
always
record
does
this and we're going to put
man.
this up
When
probably
I'm
later this
watching
evening.
Rick's shit, it's always Rick's big round face, man.
Yeah,
And
or
it's
his nose hairs.
Here's what's happening.
This is what's going on. This is the
This is what's going on.
Oceanside Comedy
It's a
Gym.
great little room.
Wednesday nights.
Workout
It's amazing.
gym.
Come work.
It's a
Come
cool
do work.
thing Rick's doing. You guys need to come and support it, or it'll go away.
No, it's not going away. Look at this crowd.
And there's nothing else in North County.
There is very dry. Encinitas, Peabody's, Mr. Peabody.
Is Peabody still going on?
Man,
I
that don't
thought
count.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is
That
it?
don't-
I grew up in
count,
North
man.
County, and I
It's
drove
not
to San
official.
Diego to.
It's not a full-fledged open mic. It's like a variety show.
A variety show. Okay.
Yeah.
I like where they can let the creative juices flow. If you want to have some improvers do their little skits or do whatever they're gonna do, have a showcase.
We don't have any rules.
No rules here.
It's just gotta be fun.
Yeah.
We won't know it until you're on stage and you've been
That
doing it for
helps.
about 7
Yeah.
minutes and you're like, okay, you're
Yeah.
done.
Off the stage.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, funny helps, But if you got a joke that you believe in,
Yeah.
you might need to work it. I remember when Jay Leno was on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. One thing I noticed, he was American Airlines' second most frequent flyer. That's a road dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is before the Tonight Show, of course. Second most frequent flyer. 2, he said sometimes he'll work a joke for weeks, changing maybe one word or twisting it, shortening it to perfect it to where he wanted it. Big shout out for Jay Leno for being a good comic. Not everybody likes him. Controversy over the Tonight Show, how he ended. Who cares? Great comic, great contributor to the craft of stand-up comedy. And he helped a lot of people, much like Johnny.
Yeah,
now, I grew up watching Johnny Carson. At 10 years old, I don't know why, I'd sneak out of bed. Mom and Dad go to bed after the news. I'd sneak out of bed, watch the Tonight Show. I loved it. they're drinking and smoking and, you know, yucking it up and borderline edgy, you know,
Right.
almost swearing. Pretty women on there. I'm 10 years old.
What I liked
I
about
don't know
those
why.
shows was the open monologue was probably like the real comedy. The interviews and everything else like that kind of didn't really do anything for me.
But he
that
had
monologue,
writers.
you get the writers.
Sure.
Or you get to see that real comedy and that rawness, and the crowd's on edge because they just got hustled. They sat around all day, and then boom.
But now there's like, what, 800
800
channels on TV. Then there was 3.
Yes.
So if you were on the Tonight Show, man, your income went up.
Yep.
And if you got called to the couch, your income tripled or quadrupled or whatever.
I've done shows with people that have done the Tonight Show, and they're still doing shows and getting paid.
still
They're not
doing
even getting
shows.
paid anything sometimes. They're just doing it for the stage time.
Right.
I mean,
I'm
not
doing
even
time.
The Tonight Show, I mean, like late night shows in general. See, using the Tonight Show, like, but I know
Right.
people that have done like the late show, which is a lesser tonight. But like, they'll do that and then just come and just perform for free, like not
Right.
even getting paid. I mean, maybe there's some backhand deal I know.
Well,
I don't know about.
I was
but-
back in New York a couple years ago. Highlight of my trip. New York, you got everything famous. You know, Manhattan, had to connect, got snuck into the Ed Sullivan Theater, watched the show, went down. Guy told me, go ahead. Sat at David Letterman's desk. And I'm telling you, just the vibe, I had chills.
You were buzzing, huh?
I get chills thinking about it, man. Sitting at Letterman's desk. You know, it got to where you were a Letterman fan or you were a Tonight Show fan for a while. And I became a Letterman fan. He's a sober guy, too. Man, he got sober in the 70s, late 70s. And where was I going with that? I don't know. But it really is all about the jokes. And it's us that are out in the trenches trying to keep comedy alive. You know, 64 years old, I'm still doing it. I got a show coming up. Let me give you guys a plug. It's not till February, but it's a fundraiser for a local recovery center. And it's called Yuckaholics.
Okay.
This will be the 3rd annual show I've done for them. And it's at the Seaside Center in Cardiff. And we get 350 to 400 people at that show.
That's a nice crowd.
Yeah, those big crowds do spoil you, because you can't fail. Anything, I mean, you know, laughter is
20% of them
contagious.
laugh. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, laughter is contagious. So if one person, you could pick your nose, and one person laughs, and it sets off a chain reaction, and pretty soon, you know, you feel like you're killing, you know. More people, the better, is the point. And if you guys have worked a big room, you know what I mean. That's what we're all after. Of course, the money's nice, but a big crowd, nothing like it. It's strong. It kills. It keeps us going, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Matt?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crowd, yeah.
Well, that crowd, that NA room we did.
Yeah, that was about like 300, I think. That was one of the biggest. I don't want to say the big.
Chula
I don't
Vista,
know,
I
don't
think
go
it was,
counting,
too.
I don't count numbers. But that was one of the biggest shows I've done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Maybe not the big. I don't know, but it's definitely one of the biggest.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Yeah, and I'm really remembering that now. Thanks for bringing that up, because I wouldn't have recognized you.
Yeah, and
It's
most
probably
people
been
don't.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because of the haircut.
Yeah, I think it was about 7 or 8, but it was definitely a while ago because I haven't
Yeah.
been doing it for that long. But I think it was right around when I started, right when I went my Jesus phase, like 19 years
Could be.
old. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know how I got a hold of you, but I just need.
Oh, you
I
posted
needed
some
somebody to
online,
take a
right?
Need
bullet.
somebody to take a bullet,
and he
then shows
responded.
Walks
Yeah.
Matt. Yeah, awesome. With the Jesus face, it was. Okay.
I had long hair down to my shoulders, had a big beard.
Hey,
Okay.
Rick's getting ready. We're doing sound check, man. You guys need to get down here and get your laugh on.
We don't contend with anything, but 8 o'clock,
Check it out.
the comedy gym gets started at 8 o'clock.
If you're a comic
And so
you haven't signed in
what
yet,
we'll
please
do
come up
here
over
is,
here, right by the stage here, and sign up. The sign-up sheets
I
here. Put
really
your
didn't
name
want to
down.
put the rap on this
You
thing,
will
but this
get
has
up
just been a great
100%.
night of comedy,
Your own team.
talking with Matt Blagg and
Tonight's
Bob
gonna be a
Murphy,
great night. We have a
going
couple
back in
guys
history.
that are
This guy's getting loud on this
visiting
damn
from other
microphone, so I don't
clubs
know
that
what
are
we're going to be able to
here
do with this.
We got some
I'm
pros. We
going
got some other
to
guys
say
that
thank
are
you,
just
Bob, for
starting
coming out. Matt, thank you
If
for coming up. And
as a member of the
obviously,
crowd wanna get up here,
You gonna stay and do a little bit of work tonight?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Do some time?
You gonna do some time? Yeah.
Cool.
It's gonna be a nice night, guys.
Hang on a second.
Nice crowd.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm
Thank
here.
you for coming
Of course.
out tonight.
Hey, any chance,
And
man.
that's why we do this. That's why we do this
Get
thing,
your
you know.
specials. We got specials. Sculpin.
He's got to plug the room. Got to plug the room. He's talking about his sculpin and his 75 cents wings at the Tremont Bar and Grill.
Try them out.
You've been listening to Pelon and Chubby podcast Wednesday nights right before the Oceanside Comedy Gym. Thank you, sir. And this has been Pelon and Chubby podcast.
If we get a break, I'm going to tell you one last story.
Sorry.
I do a lot of interviews and what's cut off? Did the phone die?
Yeah, there's about low battery. He's gonna go and it went low battery.
It's low. Sorry, guys. It's low on battery. I'm going to charge it in a minute. What do we got here? Jennifer?
We're still on, right?
We're still going. We're going. We're good.
A bunch of people tuning in tonight. We got a nice crowd tonight, folks. So I'm going to try and plug in the phone and give you guys a little Facebook Live on the Comedy Gym tonight so you guys can see what's up. We had a really good time with our two guests tonight, Matt and Blagg from the Comedy Store in La Jolla, and the comedy legend San Diego.
Super duper guy.
You can actually see him in action, Bob Murphy, up on stage.
You got to come down here.
Come down if you guys have a chance. If not,
We're not podcasting it in the show.
No, this is not.
Facebook Live on the,
Just a little bit. We don't want to give them all of that.
just so you can see what you're missing. I'm going to plug you guys in a minute here. So are we still signed on?
We're still going, man. This is good stuff. Got a story.
Are you in the middle of the story?
He was about
Yeah.
to lay one more on us.
I'll close out. A lot of people ask.
Hey, Bob Murphy's here. We got him interviewed tonight, guys. We've had a pleasure. He's going to do one last story. This is the Pelon and Chubby show every Wednesday, 6:30 to 7:30. Bob, tell us the story, please.
It's going to cost you another Coke. Okay, you ready? So a lot of people ask, what was your worst show?
Worst show.
Worst show. I'll tell you mine.
And
You
I'll
tell me
you.
yours.
Okay.
Now, I didn't say I'll show you mine. You
No,
show me
okay.
yours.
So should I go first?
Because you're black, and you know.
This
by
might
the
knock you
way,
off the table.
Don't be taking no Viagra.
No, no
because
Viagra. This is
black and taking Viagra. That's cheating.
That's cheating.
That's
Okay.
cheating. Okay.
All right,
So
so-
I'm doing this show,
Okay.
small show, called the gas station or something over in San Marcos
All
one
right.
time. Gary Cannon's coming down from LA to headline. I'm featuring. Right before Gary's getting to come up, two chicks in the front row wouldn't shut up. Wouldn't shut up. Like comic nightmare.
Okay.
And I'm hitting them, you know, like and they wouldn't shut up. So I tried my best. Gary comes up and goes, "Hey, what are you guys doing tonight? How you doing? Welcome to the show." And a guy next to these two gals throws a beer in Gary's face.
To impress the
Didn't
girls?
tell a joke yet.
Oh, God.
Turned out he was the husband of the two girls. Right?
Yeah. I can
Gets
see
in a fight, starts throwing chairs. Gary's on the floor doing commando, trying to make it to the kitchen. Trying to make it to the kitchen, man. Right? This guy's a Marine that just got kicked out of
Okay.
the service. Bartender comes over the bar with a baseball bat, chasing the guy out. Guy goes to his truck with a crowbar, starts smashing all the windows of the bar,
that. Holy crap.
right? And I'm going, this is the coolest show I've ever seen.
Oh, my gosh.
Turns out they get in a truck, try and run over the bartender who's trying to get rid of them. He's calling the cops. Turns out, they catch him, of course. Turned out they were all three on PCP.
Amped up.
Just out of their mind,
Wow.
bro. Ended up in jail, of course.
Man, I
Man-
don't think I got a cool story. That
Top
wow.
that, Jack.
That's, wow.
Top that.
Well, let's see. I don't drink, but I do give them an opportunity to do a host of bar shows, and I ran a little room on a Tuesday night call it Ha Ha Happy Hour at a pizza joint in San Marcos. Every night every Tuesday night, it seemed like a surprise to the staff that I was popping up and doing this comedy night.
And how long had you been doing it?
It was almost a year. Every
and they're
week
still
it was
surprised.
Surprise! Whoa, you're still doing it? Like, yeah. And sometimes I would push to try to get a showcase for a Saturday or a Friday show.
Right.
Actually, bring in an audience. So they weren't recognizing the skills and my ability, and they weren't paying it. So it was all me funding. So probably my worst show was there. I brought down 2 LA comics, a big name guy who's been on Lifetime TV. He's been on one of these shows, so he's got a name notoriety. But you bring him down here, nobody's gonna know who he is. Right. But I paid him for his time, and I advertised, and I had a nice sized crowd. Right. And then I had like 5 San Diego local up and coming, and build a show. I made an awesome showcase, and they were understaffed.
Right.
They were mad at me.
Because you had too many people?
Because I had too many people. I was like, this is a pizza place.
Yeah.
Serve some pies.
Serve some drinks. That's their problem. Too many people?
That's not my problem anymore. And so now the service was dumping and the crowd was starting to get a little antsy. I start on time. That's my thing. I hate being late for anything. I hate showing up late. So we have always been, that's my thing, So my worst show was that show. Crowd was overwhelming the staff.
Right.
And I get kicked out of that place because they weren't ready to handle what I was bringing them. So I'm getting kicked out of my spot that I built up.
Right.
Shame on them.
Right. That's a little
and so when he finally realized what he's lost since I've gone, he's called me a couple times. Oh, man, you got to come back. I was like, no, man, bad taste in my mouth. I can't do it.
What was the capacity of the room?
Yeah. So,
what was the capacity of the room?
It was a nice size pizza parlor. I mean, this thing would be host to team soccer matches, the trophy things. So it was a good 300. Could be 300. Yeah, it was big.
That's a good room, man.
Okay. So yeah, it would be it's a good thing. And so if I was filling that thing up and surprising and popping up, and they're not ready for it, I was doing something right. And then they didn't recognize the skill.
God bless you.
I always like conjure and say,
find another place and do it again.
Do it again and build it up because it can happen. We can do that right here at the Tremont Bar and Grill here in Oceanside. Right. Rick's got a good thing going on. We're talking about doing 2 other different rooms here as well. So we got it in us. I've got it in me, and we're going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me. Thank you for coming out. Bob Murphy, thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
This has been the Pelon and Chubby
Thank
podcast.
you guys for listening and supporting live comedy. Come on out and see it live for yourself
you guys
next
have a
Wednesday.
Good night. All right, guys. Have a good night.